Hey, it's Elisa Henson here. Happy Wednesday, and welcome back to another episode of Weekly Wednesday Wisdom. I'm Elisa Hendon, and I am a certified health and life coach, aka healthy mindset coach, and I help women to transform their relationship with food, with themselves, so that they can, also to transform their mindset so that they can have the best life ever and have the mindset that's going to support them to have the health and life that they want right now. So today what I wanted to do was talk about how we can start transforming our relationship with food right now. So the goal is by the end of this video, you will be able to start doing that immediately. And this is all kind of taken from one of my sessions I have with my clients about finding out which foods are right for your body. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I feel like the first place to start when you're trying to transform your relationship with food is to change how we talk about food, how we relate to food and how we identify with food. I know that probably either you've caught yourself saying this or you've heard someone else say this, but looking at food in regards to good versus bad, right? I know that I've said this before, I've heard plenty of people say this before, but people will go to a party and say, oh my gosh, I'm so bad, I ate a brownie, oh my gosh, I had 2 of them, I was so bad, right? Or on the other hand, you might hear someone say, oh, I was so good today, I ate a salad for lunch, right? But the problem with this outlook and this way of looking at food is that no one always lives in the realm of good. I don't care who you are, it's not possible to only eat salad all day or to only eat those healthiest foods, those good foods, right? We all are human, and regardless if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to maintain your weight, if you don't really care, if you just want to be healthy, we all eat both. But the problem is that when we say food is good or food is bad, we identify that way. So, I often see with my clients that once they eat bad foods, let's start by saying, let's say they eat good foods. They're proud of themselves, it's awesome, I'm so good, I'm great. But then when they're eating the bad foods, that causes us to just feel guilty, right? Like, oh my gosh, why did I eat that? It causes us to be pretty harsh and judgmental on ourselves. Sometimes, especially if you're trying to stick to a diet or something like that, you might shut down and just give up and say, I already had a brownie, so who cares? I'll go have some ice cream and a soda, and why not? And kind of causes us to go overboard, which again is kind of not where we're looking to go. And I honestly believe that that is not healthy. Having that mindset and looking at yourself in that way is not healthy. So the idea is that by the end of this video, we're going to talk about, you're going to know how to start shifting that, how to start shifting looking at food in regards to good versus bad, and we're going to do that right now. So how can we do that, right? What's another way to look at food if we're not looking at it in terms of good versus bad or healthy versus unhealthy, right? So in the very beginning of what I call my 90-day total transformation program, we have our one of our first sessions about the concept of high versus low energy food. Okay. And we'll kind of talk about what that means right now. So when you have high energy food versus low energy food, okay, the first thing I want to point out is that neither is good or bad, they're just different. So what I would define as high energy foods are foods that fill you up. They are foods that give you energy. They're foods that, digest well, you feel lighter, energized, ready to go afterwards, right? So for every person, that's going to look different. For me, usually if I have vegetables with a good protein, I feel energized. Like, that's a very high energy meal for me. Like if I have salad with some salmon or something like that, like I feel great afterwards, okay? So on the other end of the spectrum, we have lower energy foods, okay? So lower energy foods will often leave you not feeling so full and getting kind of hungry right away. You might crash afterwards, and even if it feels good while you're eating it, like you might crash later and feel gross. You might feel bloated or heavy. Those are what I would define as low energy foods. Okay, But the reason I think it's important to view food this way instead of looking at food in regards to good versus bad is that, first of all, this isn't necessarily healthy versus unhealthy. And that's something I really want to point out. Someone's high energy foods will be different than someone else's high energy foods, and same with their low energy foods. And I'm going to give you an example of that. One food that is definitely nowadays deemed super healthy, which I agree is a very healthy food, is, let's say, quinoa. Okay? Quinoa is a grain. It has protein. It's what I would call a vegetable protein. It has complex carbohydrates. It's definitely a very good food to eat. Lots of health benefits to it. For my body personally, after I eat quinoa, my stomach's a mess. I feel sluggish. I feel really, really bloated afterwards. For me, quinoa is not particularly a high energy food. I would definitely say for me that's a lower energy food. So I'm telling you this because it's not just about making a list of healthy versus unhealthy. It's about getting in tune with your own body to see what foods are high energy for you and what foods are low energy for you. And the reason I like to look at foods in this way is because it's empowering. It empowers you to make a more mindful, conscious choice, because we always have a choice. We can choose to feel energized, or we can choose to eat foods that might not make us feel that way. Like, I'll be honest, as a health coach, I don't always eat high energy foods. Sometimes I make the conscious choice to eat something low energy, like a donut when it's Hanukkah, or having, I don't know, a Slurpee with my kids once in a while. But it's an empowered choice, and it's not happening just because I feel like it or because everyone else is having it. Like, there are plenty of times when I choose not to, right? And that's kind of what I want to share with you guys, is that, you know, you can always choose if you want to feel high energy or if you want to feel low energy. And I really encourage you to shift looking at food in this way. So I'm going to challenge you guys. And if you want, you can even send me an email or comment below. What are some high energy foods that are high energy for you, that give you energy, that make you feel awesome? And what are some foods that are low energy? Foods that take away your energy, leave you feeling sluggish and bloated. And I encourage you to try to shift your viewpoint of how you're looking at food and see how that changes things. So I hope this was helpful, and I thank you for watching, and we will see you next week on Wednesday. Have an awesome week, guys.